Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will learn about objects in PowerShell. Objects as a container that contains attributes and behaviors. Mostly this is the term object comes from the object-oriented programming. So over there we have the classes which we have like a template, and then we create object of that class. So how do we can create objects in a PowerShell? So to create object in PowerShell, first let's name our object. In this case I'm going to call it, let's say, object or object, and then we will assign some properties and behaviors and stuff like that to this object. But in terminal or in PowerShell we can create object using the new object method, and then here we can pass the values to this, as well as we can pass the type and stuff like that. So let's say I just want to create a new object, and now as you can see automatically ask for the type name. So there are many types that we can pass. Like if I do the same thing again and pass the type name flag here, if I now press tab, this is going to grab the available types of the object that we can create in PowerShell. So if I keep pressing the tab button, as you can see it goes on and on and on. So these are the types available in PowerShell which we can use to create objects of. So now the list is going on and on. As you can see now it throw error. So let's create again object equal to new object, and the most basic object type has a PS object, and we have another one that is a PS custom object. So if I ask ChatGPT about this, the PS object is the main or upper class, while the PS custom object is the subclass of the PS object class. So for the basic objects, you will create objects with the PS object type name, like this is the data type, and PS custom objects are mostly used when working with CSV files and stuff like that. So let's say I want to set the type name of this as PS object. We can pass value directly, as well as we can pass values later on. So if I now hit enter, and the object is created, and we do not see any error. So now if I write host, I can directly write host it. Like if I just type write host and then object, if I can type the name, as you can see it is currently empty. But instead of writing the object host, we can directly just type the object, and that is going to return the properties and the behaviors of this object. But this is currently empty object, so let's add some property to this. Let's say object.name is a property. So in objects you can access the properties of the object using dot operator. So let's say I want the name to be Tauseed Zaman, and now if I hit enter, oh, it's not like this. Let's create that again. So I will create object and assign this to new object, and then the type name is going to be PS object. And here I forgot to add that it is not really necessary, but we can add like the empty object, and PowerShell this is considered the empty object. So if I come here, let's say I want to create object, let's say users, and this is an object, and here we can pass properties like the name of the object of the property, let's say name, and we have Tauseed, and then we have age, let's say, and we don't have commas here, so then we have age, and let's say this is integer type and 34, something like that. And instead of colon we need to use the equal signs here. So now we have object that contains these property names and age. So now instead of passing these properties here, we can directly create an empty object right here like this. And the same thing as we did in the terminal, here we can pass the type here as well directly. Like if I do here PS object, and this is going to create this object as PS object, and we can do the same thing for PS custom object. So if I remove this PS custom object, as you can see it automatically auto completes that, and I'm able to assign properties and values. So if I come here, I create an empty object, and now if I print the object, and which is empty currently, so I will do one thing like create an property and assign a value to it. Like let's say object dot name, which is currently empty, and now if I want to assign a value, let's say Tauseed Zaman, and now if I print the object which has one attribute name with the value of Tauseed Zaman, now we can add more properties to this, like age is equal to, let's say, 44, and now this object should have two attributes with name, age and name, with the values of 45 in Tauseed Zaman. So we can add as many attributes as we want. So this is how we create objects in PowerShell. Now we can access the properties of the existing objects using the dot operator. So let's say I have, let's create a variable, let's say ls, that is equal to the ls command. And now if I print ls, these are the properties available in this ls object. So now let's say I want to access any of the properties. As you can see, if I press F, it is going to auto-complete those things for me. So compare and copy to and so on. As you can see, if I keep pressing tab button, it is going to show me those things. So we have a count on this, so it is going to return count as an attribute, not a method. So it is going to return the number of items available in the command that is provided, which is ls in our case. So if can I use static here? No, I can't use static. So instead we can find all the properties in the IDE. So if I come here, let's say this is ls, and I will come here and press period or dot, and these are the properties available in the ls object. So here we have exist and we use the copy. So if I press C, we should see a copy here, count, sorry. So if this works, then we will be able to use that. So if I come here, I need to start the PowerShell as execution policy bypass. So now if I execute the stage 5, as you can see, we got 5, which means we have 5 items in the current directory. So here it auto completed some of them, and some of them are not auto completed. So if I add the full name and here and execute the stage 5, these are the full names available at that object. So to recap of, we created object, let's say objects, and then we learned that we can create objects with data types. So we have different data types, and we can create custom objects with using the PS object as well as PS custom object data types, and then we can add in as many attributes with the values as we want. But remember here, the PS custom object I have used it for whenever I have to store data into a CSV file, then I will have to create a PS custom object and then assign some values to it, and then import add to a CSV. We can try that like here as well. So if I do like, then we have age, and then let's say 45 4, and then name as Tauseed, and to import this to CSV, we can use 5 this to, and like import CSV, and then the path users.csv and no type information, because it is going to store the type information. We can use the for separator, and let's autocomplete it. Oh, this is export CSV. These looks the same. So if I do the same for export CSV, then we have path is not auto completed. Anyway, we have the type information, then we have append, which will append, and then we have force to force the data to store in the CSV. So if I come here, information acting, the CSV does not exist. Information action, oh, this is just the no type information. So if I come here, save this, come here, execute, and we have the users.csv file. We can view that in the like the actual CSV preview Excel type view. So here we have the name and age, and the two values, which is age is age, and name is age, and Tauseed Zaman is 4, which is completely wrong. If I execute again, it's going to print that. So yeah, it's okay. The name is Tauseed, and the age is 4 and 4. That is all about objects and creating objects in PowerShell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next section where we will be discussing about variables and PowerShell.